Dumelang hape. Le kae? Re teng. So, really welcome hape mo Writing Center. And we have an interesting, very interesting session coming up now with Dr. Nomsa Mdlalose. She's a storyteller, but more than that, you'll get a sense from the session that she will be running with us now. So, Nomsa Mdlalose, Dr. Nomsa Mdlalose, as Nomsa, as I call her, she's done a lot of work with us at the Writing Center in the past. So she's a storyteller emeritus for the Wits Writing Center. Let me not spoil by saying too much about her. Little Iponela, what she's up to. As Nomsa, welcome to the Writing Center. You can take over.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, Writing Center team, for inviting me back this year. And these are very exciting experiences, and as well as the good work that Writing Center is doing. And I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to see you, and thank you for attending the session. We are going to do storytelling. It's a bit early in the morning, so let's just stand up and do a little bit of the exercise as an icebreaker exercise. Okay, let's just stretch one end this way, and that way, and let's go up a little bit and release. And one more time, this way, and that way, and up, and lift up your lid and touch the ceiling and release. And let's do a little bit of voice exercise, because we are going to sing, and all of us, or which one of us, going to sing. Let's breathe in and hold. Out. Breathe in, hold, and release. And you're gonna breathe in. You're going to, when you breathe out, you're gonna breathe out through. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. 3, 4, 5, and out. One more time. Breathe in and try to bring your air in the stomach, not here. And in. So you breathe in through your nose, down the throat, your chest, and your stomach, and out, and release. Upper. The last time. In. 2, 3, 4, 5, and higher. Thank you. Let's sit down. Before I start the session, let's sing this song. It's called Listen, 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 We Are Here. All of us listen. But this is isiZulu. It goes like Imamele, umamele, umamele, ma du 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 du. Mamele, imamele, imamele, na du 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 du. Imamele, 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 ma du 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 du. Imamele, 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 ma du du du. Oh, too long, imamele, ma. Yo tulang 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 ni mamele ma. Okay, let's start again, and I'm going to hear all the voices because when you do storytelling, you talk and you need to be heard. 1, 2, 3, we go. Ni mamele, ni mamele, ni mamele ma. Yo mele, ni mamele, ni mamele ma. Oh, tulang 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 ni mamele ma. Oh, tulang 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 ni mamele ma. With confidence now we're going to do it. Ni mamele, ni mamele ma. Ni mamele, ni mamele, ni mamele ma. Oh, tulang 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 ni mamele ma. Oh, tulang 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 ni mamele ma. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. So yes, I am a storyteller, and I've been a storyteller for many, many years. Because I've been a storyteller for many years, I accumulated a lot of material in children's literature. So I'm writing children's books as well. But I've just produced last year, I produced this book, and it's called 10 out of 10 of storytelling. It's a manual, storytelling manual for teachers, for librarians, for whoever wants to teach storytelling, because these are exercises as to how you can learn to tell a story, or how you can teach to tell a story. I'm not going to explain or define what storytelling is, because it's simple. It is an art of narrating a story. It is an art in the sense that you infuse that creativity in your narration. You take a simple story, you turn it around, and you make it exciting, you make it your own, you make it authentic, and then it becomes storytelling. So, but what I differentiate from is because as a creative artist, we all tell stories. You write, you are telling a story. You paint, you are telling a story. You make films, you're telling a story, right? Yeah, we're all telling stories. But now, what makes you a storyteller is the vehicle that you use to transmit your stories. If you're a writer, you tell stories, but through what? Writing. Through writing. Then you call you what? An author. You tell stories. And if you paint, we call you a visual artist. So now, if I stand in front of you and tell a story, I'm not an actress. Yes, of course, I trained in drama, but at this point, I'm not an actress. I am, or an actor, I am a storyteller. Because why? I am me, Dr. Sasa, telling you stories. I'm not a character. I'm not a dog. Because if I'm a dog or a character, I walk like a dog, I speak like a dog, or a doctor, I speak like a doctor, or I walk like a doctor. I don't know, doctors usually walk this way, so I walk like a dog. But now, in this case, I imitate characters as a storyteller. I become a little bit of a character, but I come back to that space of a storyteller and tell stories. Now, before I tell examples of stories, storytelling. We use storytelling everywhere. We use storytelling as an entertainment art form. We use storytelling as a healing tool. We use storytelling in education, storytelling in the classroom. We have, I know business people have just woken up to the idea of storytelling in business, and it's becoming huge. When you do your marketing, when you do branding, your brand story in terms of storytelling. So it infiltrates every area of our lives. When I speak to learners or children, I say, teach storytelling. Learn storytelling because it's a life skill. It's a life skill in the sense that if you are a lawyer, you will learn critical thinking through storytelling. You will learn how to draft your story, because if you are a lawyer, you work with the stories. You will draft your stories in a way that is very understandable and easy to listen. If you are a doctor, you will learn interactive skills because you will be working with people. You will be working with human beings and chess. Even if you want to be a priest, or let alone a teacher is given, librarian is given. I don't even have to mention that. If you are a business person, you there to sell your product, to enhance your branding, you use storytelling because why? Because stories or storytelling comes with emotions. There is that emotional attachment. That's what connects you with people. That connects you. Of course, you can't connect you with the world because the world can. By the way, it has its own energy. Anything that you do wrong, the walls of our land or our life will be affected by our own thinking, by our own attitudes, our emotions, and that hit back at us, and we become even bad people or worse people. So if we respect our environment, we respect our spaces, they bring that positivity back to us. Now, how do we use stories? For example, let me tell you a story. You can use a story in research. Go if you're doing a research and you want information, go to a village, listen to their stories. Their stories, in their stories, and what is embedded there is their experiences and their knowledge and what they know. So now, if I tell you the story of a man that had a lot of cows, but there was this particular cow called Ujamlud, and that cow was the favorite of them all. I mean, by the father or the owner. But now, it happened that the owner died. But before the owner died, he said to his son, "My son, I want you to take care of this cow. Because if you take care of this cow, it will take care of you in the future." The son said, "Okay, Baba, I hear you." So when the old man was gone, the cow was raised, was taken care of by the son. And one day, the son walked with the cow. They were grazing together, and they were talking, and suddenly, giants, ogres, they came and they took the cow and said, "You gonna give us this cow. This is our cow now. We're gonna eat it, and you're not gonna get it anymore." And the boy said, "Oh, please, don't. My father will kill me in his grave. This is his favorite cow. Don't take it." But the giants, they took the cow and they walked. The boy followed them. They followed and followed and followed and found that they went into a cave. And the cave was very dark. They went up until the other side. On the other side, the boy saw that, they were slaughtering the cow. He waited and waited until it was dark. And they cooked the cow and they cooked the meat. They were so happy. This is such a delicious meat you've ever had. They ate it and they threw bones there and there and there and there and there. They went to sleep because they drank, by the way, they also drank in traditional beer, but in umqombothi. And they were drunk. And they slept. The boy came and said, Jamlu diga baba, jamlu diga baba, jamlu diga baba, jamlu diga baba, vuga. And the bones started coming together, and they stood there. Jamlu diga baba, jamlu diga baba, jamlu diga baba, vuga. And the meat got into the bones and mixed up with the bones, and it was shaped, and now the cow was alive, but it was static. It was not moving. Jamlu diga baba, jamlu diga baba, vuga. And it was as if whole breath was taken in by the cow. It was back to life. Now, okay. The boy took the cow back home. When the August came back to sleep, from sleeping, they found there was no cow. And the meat that was there, they were hoping to eat it the next day, it was no longer there. Now, what does the story tell you as a listener or as a person who has found the story? It might tell you that these people believed in the reincarnation. They believe that you can talk to animals. And when I tell stories, for example, this story, we're going to tell it together. It's all you have to say is that ungamtsheli, 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 ungamtsheli. So I will talk in between because it's a call and response song. Ungamtsheli, ungamtsheli, ungamtsheli. Ungamtsheli, 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 ungamtsheli ukuthi yebo akukhona. Ukhona ugogo ugile, ugogo lona enengulube, wengulube awungene ukwenu, ingulube yathi cha angifuni, ugogo wabiza induku, wenduku awushaya ingulube, ingulube ingene ukwenu, induku yathi cha angifuni, ugogo wabiza umlilo, wemlilo awushisele nguku, induku ishaya ingulube, ingulube ingone ukwenu, umlilo wathi umlilo wathi angifuni, ugogo wabiza amanzi, wemanzi I'm listening to you. I'm waiting for you. Wemanzi wemanzi awucime lo mlilo, umlilo ungamtsheli, umlilo ushiswe le nduku, induku ingulube ingene ukwenu, umlilo wathi cha amanzi athi cha angifuni, ugogo wabiza inkomo, wenkomo awuphuzela amanzi, amanzi acime lo mlilo, umlilo umlilo ushise le nduku, induku ingulube ungamtsheli, inkomo yathi cha angifuni, ugogo wabiza intaba, wentambo awubophele nkomo inkomo amanzi acimele umlilo umlilo ushisele induku induku ingulube ingene ukweni intambo yathi cha angifuni ugogo wabizigundwane egundwane awulumele ntambo lentambo ibophe inkomo inkomo iphuzela amanzi amanzi acimele umlilo umlilo ungamtsheli igundwane latalefuni ugogo wabiza ikati wekati awulumi igundwane igundwane lilume intambo intambo ungamtsheli ungamtsheli ingulube ingene okweni ungamtsheli ikati laphuma lahlala tsitsi liluma igundwane tsitsi liluma intambo intambo yabopha inkomo ungamtsheli Thank you. So now, you tell the story to children. Even 2 days ago, they told me this a lie. Animals cannot talk. And my response to that is, but how come then there are dogs, they are being sent to shop, to hunt, to shop, to do grocery at the shop? And how come then some cats are taught to say, you sleep here, when you are hungry, do this, and they know exactly what time they are eating. So which means animals can talk. They just don't talk your Sisutu. They don't talk your, actually they do. Because a dog in Italy understands only Italian language. A dog in the English family, it can only understand English. Ujamlude, the cow, can only understand isiZulu because it's the language of the family. But then among themselves, they have their own language. As much as you have your Sisutu, you have your Afrikaans, you have your Shivenda, they have their languages. Yeah, it's easy to convince children. They don't know what to say next. Start to believe me. But yeah, so what I'm saying is that if you listen to those stories, you get to know what the people of that culture or of that village or society, community knew or understood or who they are. You can learn from their stories. You can learn from their stories that they understand or they used to understand or they still do understand psychology, because you listen to stories about when there's death in the family and this mother and the child was crying and crying and crying, and the grandmother was told, go and talk to the child. And the grandmother, when the child was still sleeping, asleep, meaning the grandmother is or any elder person, even the mother, even the aunt, whoever, even the sister can do that. Is telling the child, because the child is restless, because there's bereavement in the family or there's death in the family, and the child can feel it, just cannot understand. He feels unsettled. He's crying for nothing. He's been asleep, he's been fed, but still not feeling himself or herself. Now, you're not going to sit a toddler down to say, oh, your aunt or your grandmother or your mother or your father is no more, so shut up. You cannot do that. So they understood that you talk to the child through this way. That's where they understood the psychology of human beings, different levels. Children, adults, one. That's through stories. Now, when you, so in the classroom, you can tell a story and then let children analyze the story, or let them create a play or drama, or just recreate the story to have their own endings or their version. So in that way, you teaching and creating writing through storytelling. When it comes to, I'm just taking snippets of every area of storytelling. When it comes to business, when you are to connect with your audience, I said it in the beginning, the best way, the only way to connect with people is through emotions. If there are no emotions, the connection is superficial. And how do you establish emotions or emotional episodes in the story? You do that by creating a rhythm in a story. So it's important when you do storytelling, your story has a rhythm, because that's how you create a rapport between you and your listeners. Repetitions are very important. You repeat some phrases. That way, repetition, they also create a rhythm. They have a way of creating a rhythm. Personal stories are the best when it comes to influencing people. And the business, personal stories. Now, who's got a personal story?
Everyone.
Can I have your personal story? Tell me your story.
It's very long.
It's very long. Let's shorten it.
Okay, I come from Europe, from a small and beautiful country, Bulgaria.
Bulgaria.
And I got married in Africa, and I write children's books.
Okay. All right. So now, she's telling us information about herself. So this is information. We can turn this into a story, because a story is supposed to have the beginning, the middle, the ending, the up and downs, the climax, and the setting and all that. That's the story. Now, what is your story? Anyone with a story? What month is this? March. Yeah, the Human Rights Month. Who is got a story? You have a story.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. You want to come from?
No, I can't tell it from you.
Can you hear him? Okay, you got away with it. So.
Yeah. I jumped into a ball of fire. You could say I'm dead right now, but I'm not. That's because the ball of fire was not as hot as I imagined it to be. Like other people I've heard about who've walked on water, I walked on fire, in coal of fire. I was excited about it, but before I knew it, someone shook me and I woke up from my reverie. Thank you.
Very poetic. Very poetic. then we can take this on. If you were in class, you would have to change all this into stories. This could make a very good poem. Let me tell you my favorite story. I like telling the story sitting down. And from there, because we have up to 11, up to 11, I have 10 minutes before we venture into full question and answer session. So the personal story. I used to tell the story, or I tell the story in a healing in a therapeutic situation or event or sessions. Once, a long time ago, there was an old grandmother who had 3 grandchildren. This grandmother had something of a great mystery to her 3 grandchildren. The grandmother kept a bundle of sticks. It sat there at the corner, and no one was allowed to touch it. Even on the days when it was chilly in the air, and the children wanted to take it and didn't want to go outside, they would say, "Grandma, Grandma, can we please use that bundle of sticks? It's raining outside." But the grandmother would say, no, that bundle of sticks will help you when you really need it. Even when the sun was so bright and so hot outside, and the children did not want to go outside and fetch wood from the forest, would say, "But Grandma, don't you think today is a day that we really need those sticks? It's so hot, but we want to cook and eat." But the grandmother said, "No, that bundle of sticks will help you when you really need it." Well, every night, the grandchildren would come, sit on the floor, and would look at their grandmother, and the grandmother would tell stories. The stories when she was still growing up as a little girl, and stories how she got married, how she found the house, and how she found life. And those grandchildren thought, "Oh, those are such wonderful stories they've ever heard." But life happened, as it always does. The 3 grandchildren grew up. They grew up into young women. But as they grew up, it seemed as if their opinions may have grown strong, because when they fought or argued, they never made up. In fact, they argued more than they did when they were young. When they were young, they used to fight and argue, but they always made up. But now, as adults, it came to a point where all 3 of them said, "Who cares? I don't care. Go your way, I go my way." So they stopped talking to each other. In the process, as life happens, as it always does, they grew up into even adults. They got married. They moved out of their grandmother's house. They set up life of their own. They had nothing to do with anyone of them. The grandmother saw this happening. She grew worried because she knew that she wouldn't be around that much longer. So one day she called her grandchildren to come to her house. When they came to their house, to the grandmother's house, they did not know that they had all been invited. They all came back. Without knowing, they were back to their childhood. They sat down in front of the grandmother. They looked at their grandmother sitting with that old mat. But this time, the grandmother had a bundle of sticks on her lap. A small bundle of sticks. It was only 3 sticks. The grandmother said, she took out 1 stick, gave it to the eldest granddaughter and said, break the stick. The granddaughter took the stick and tried to break the stick and and the stick went poke, poke. Good. And second one, break the stick. The second granddaughter also broke the stick. The third one also broke the stick. And the grandmother took the pieces of those sticks and made even a bigger bundle and said, now, to the oldest granddaughter, break the stick. The granddaughter tried to break the stick. Oh, with all her might. Ooh, the sticks wouldn't break. Second granddaughter tried to break the sticks. This way. Even the third granddaughter could not break the sticks. And the grandmother sang again. Let's sing with the grandmother. And she took the bundle of sticks and said, you see, life will throw many things at us, many hardships, many problems. And if we face those hardships and problems alone, life will break us. But if we come together, help each other, love one another, life will bend us, life will flex us, but it won't break us. And she sang again. From that day on, the three granddaughters started to speak to each other. And from that day on, each one of them kept their bundle of sticks in their homes, just in case a time should come that their children and their great children should ever really, really, really need those sticks. That's the end of the story. So now I'm open for questions, comments, and answers, and all that. First question is.
Thank you, Dr. Nomsa. Thank you for your session. I have two different questions. One was in the first story of the cows. Would it have been possible to, although that would have meant a bit of creativity, that we have in the same rhythm of the song something that would be in English, so that those of us who are not understanding the song could have at least gotten some idea? I'm just thinking, how could we have done that? That's one question. And then the other one was a visitor.
Martin?
Yes. Oh, sorry, yeah. I was just wondering if you had asked me to give a personal story, I would have said similar thing. I left my house and I arrived here. And I was just wondering what would make me think in terms of turning just dry facts into a story.
The first question, you're right. It's just if I'm supposed to be relaxed, but I'm also thinking of the time. I suppose, for example, the third or second story of the pig, the cat, the dog. I was normally, under normal circumstances, I start by saying, this is a story of the pig, of the grandmother who had a pig, and the grandmother wanted the pig to go to have supper, to go into the coop to have supper. The pig was still playing outside, didn't want to, and said, no, I don't want to. And the grandmother called the stick to hit the pig, and the stick refused, called the fire to burn the stick. the fire refused, called the called water, and to extinguish fire, and the water said no. And then after the water, it was the cow to drink the water, it was the rope to tie up the cow, and then it was the mouse.
The mouse. And I just want to add something.
Yes.
That story, I know. So there's an Italian songwriter, Eduardo, I forgot his name, and he sings the same story. And you have it across different cultures where, because I recognized it because you know Umilo, and you know the cow, and you know the water. So I just, through repetition, I understood that's the same story, it's the same pattern. So you send someone to do something that doesn't work, and then comes someone, you know it too, right, from the US.
Yeah, there's different versions of
There
the
are
same
different
story.
versions. I think it's also something that is like universal in a sense
Yes,
of
yes.
storytelling, where people have a similar fun of,
Yes.
you know, like where one thing cancels the other, and it's like this children's song, like it's repeated and repeated. I just find it really interesting.
Yeah, and they are called cumulative stories, because something is added on top of the other. They are good to teach interpersonal skills and working together. With children, they always fight, and they are always want to show that they're stronger and they know better than the other. But these stories, they teach them to team exercises or teamwork. So they are called cumulative stories. So I was supposed to explain that.
No.
Yeah.
What
So
I was
now,
thinking
even with the song, I was supposed to explain it. Although with the song, I don't explain, because if you take a story from a book, make it your own. Otherwise, if you use the word Jamludi exactly as in my book, that's copyright. And that's not what used to be in the past. Stories were shared orally. And you were listening with that's why there's different versions of the same story. Because you would hear the story and you like it, you go you go out, you make it your own. You create your own characters. You make up your own characters, not necessarily in the book. So if I tell you the lyrics of the song, you might think that the song's supposed to be like that. There's nothing in the story that's supposed to be like that. So you change stories, you change the meaning of the song, depending on the meaning of your story. What are the words of the songs will be? Yes. To change, how can you change the information into the story? First of all, we need to understand that a story has to have an event. So you came from your house, out of the door, you get into your car, you come to Wits, you arrive here, so what? So what is so unless you tell us, when I came at the Wits Writing Center, there was this child. She looked at me, I looked at her, only to find that it was not a child, it was a ghost. And the child said, I ran outside the table and I saw, so it must have an event. It must build up. It must have a build up. The story must have a build up. There must be a suspense. What next? The audience asks, what next? What next? Otherwise, if it's an information, it's just information.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Probably in my story, if I didn't come to Africa, the event would be my son, because if I didn't come to Africa and I didn't have an African husband, I would have never written my first book.
That's your story.
Yes, that's my story.
Okay. So your story evolves around your son.
Yes, if it wasn't for having a mixed race child, I would have never written a book about it.
Okay. What made the mixed race son? What inspired you
I couldn't find a book which explains why he is different on the outside.
Okay.
Neither the bookshops
We
or the
can start.
library.
Yeah, we start the story from there. Yeah, yeah. All right, thank you. Any other question?
What happens if you, as a storyteller, while narrating the story and your audience, especially a live storytelling, and your audience, their eyes get wider, they are surprised, and there's one who's skeptical and says, no, it's not true. Like you said,
Yeah, like the children.
yes. But what happens to the storyteller? Does it disturb your story, or do you increase the images in order to capture that one last non-believer?
Well, you can improvise, yes. You can answer in the middle of the story. You can incorporate your answer into the story. Give me an example. Give me an example that it's just not true. Do you have an example?
Yeah, no, look, I'm thinking a lot, but I think that when you're talking about the story of the sticks,
Yes. Oh, yeah, the grandmother.
yeah, the grandmother and the story of the sticks, and say one who's listening to the story and say, but the sticks are what you can bend them and so on. You know, someone who's critical and really wants to push you.
It's a pity because we don't have sticks. Because I will show you that it's true that you cannot bear.
Yes.
I mean, you cannot break 3 sticks same time. I mean, if you combine this wood, 3 of them, can you break?
No, you won't.
All right. It's images as well. It's images. Because you for listeners, for troubled people, to take them away from their trouble, you in their mind, you are creating, you make them think of something different, to imagine a world that's not their world. It's good if they think that it's a lie, because which means they're listening. And which means for that moment, they were out of the, not the comfort zone, they're out of their misery. They are thinking of something different. It's entertainment as well. So, if a child like I'm saying, that's how I answered the because I was saying, no, a lion cannot speak. No, there's nothing like that. But a lion can speak. All right. Any other question?
Do you prefer to tell stories to children? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I came late, but Oma Katrina Esau wrote, actually told a story about ostrich and tortoise, where ostrich wanted to have a race with tortoise in order for to decide who's going to get the big pot that tortoise actually found. So tortoise then put his family and his friends all along the road, and while ostrich was thinking he's going to beat the tortoise, every time he asked, tortoise, where are you? And he would say, just behind you. And then I read the story at a school, and I asked the little ones, so what do you think? And one shouted at me, tortoise was cheating.
Yes.
And so, so it seemed as if they were listening and,
Yes.
and analyzing the story for themselves.
Thank you. Yeah. He was cheating. Oh, do I like telling stories for children?
To
No.
children or adults? Which one?
Adults.
Which one do you prefer? Adults.
But
They question less.
Huh?
Do the adults question less?
yeah. Yeah. Literature.
Yeah, I think stories provide us with an expanded view of life, you know, in ways that we don't always appreciate. The idea of animals talking to each other, human beings talking to animals, you know. Sometimes we think these are just stories, but I think there's something going on. You know, little kids, they do talk to animals, right?
Yeah.
But you know, adulting probably is the worst thing that happens to us, you know.
We lose that.
And actually informs our restricted view of life on kids, right? That you know, you cannot, this is madness, this is crazy, and all that. And then eventually, you know, they grow to have a very restricted view of life. But I think there's something in storytelling
It's always
that is deeper than we appreciate.
there's always something deeper than we that meets the eye.
I think too, because we say that animals don't talk, and I've been watching this lady on Facebook, and she's taught her dog how to use buttons to talk. And sometimes they identify themselves, learning that. Have you seen it? Where they have there's this dog. His name's Bonnie, and this lady, she's a researcher, trying to understand to what kind of degree do animals understand themselves, understand the world around them. And I think we always think in our own language. If you speak English, you think in English, and you assume that because animals and things do not speak your language, that they don't comprehend. And so she's been teaching this dog, various words depending on, what the dog wants to communicate. And she's found that, like, the dog, thinks that sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's a dog, sometimes it's an animal. Sometimes it's irritated by things and it communicates such, very sassy. And sometimes there's buttons that don't reflect quite, like we translate to Zulu or vice versa, and there's quite no meaning for the word that you're wanting to communicate. And she tries to find the word that the dog wants, that is not there just yet. So to say that animals don't talk, I think would be a grave misunderstanding and your lack of ability to comprehend. It's life. It's a lie. Because those kinds of things, then you start to realize that the world in which we understand it is not entirely in that way. There's a lot of mystery to it, and I like the idea that storytelling allows us to get out of our carnal understanding of things to really experience life in its full capacity.
Yeah, okay, I'm adding on to her and then I'm gonna start what I want to say. For dogs, blind people use dogs, so that's another communication. So I'm a storyteller too, to kids. What I normally do, we would watch first a movie and then let them analyze whatever they saw or they thought. So from there, we would sit and say, now, from what we have watched, give me the story from the film, what you think will happen or can happen. And you see that kids live in their own imagination, and then they see what we are viewing to them, and then we go back to these films or these books, and then they still question, why are we still doing what when the spirits are talking to us, and things used to go like this back in the days when we used not to have TV. Why did we stop telling stories? Why did we stop making instruments? And why did we evolve with technology? So my question is the technology taking the storytelling from us, or it is advancing what could be natural of us sitting down and telling the story?
For me, I don't think there's either or. You just have to balance things out. She mentioned told us about the story of, was it tortoise?
Yeah. Ostrich.
Sometimes it's different from There was an advert on the story. It was by
Jurex. Oh yes, Jurex. Yes.
But also there is a story about the king who wanted to marry his daughter out. And says, who will eat this hot spice without saying whoever's gonna do that, eat the spice and it's hot, but you mustn't say and I think it was one boy, it's about humans, this one. And one poor boy didn't have clothes, didn't have food every day, and said, I can do it. And the other people looked at him and said, look at you. Who are you? We always give you food. And now you want to tell us that you can beat us. Go ahead. And the boy took the spice. And she said, oh, you see me? I'm not like the first one who said, I'm eating the spice without saying. So he was cheating, but he won the competition because the king wanted someone who was creative, who was intelligent, who was wise. That's the only thing that the king wanted. And this boy showed that. But when I'm coming to your point is that there is no TV, there is no social media without human beings to create content for them. Storytelling is there to motivate and inspire creativity, to provide what ETV and e-radio needs. So if we, human beings, create bad content, you cannot blame the screen. If you cannot manage your screen for your children, you cannot blame technology. Technology is just sitting there waiting for you to press the button, or to include e-content, to put in e-content. So if you want your children to be raised by ETV, that's your problem. That's how you want your community or your children to be raised by you. If a child asks you why there are no, because I worked once worked with terminally ill patients. I don't remember a single one of them asking, can I bring TV so I can see? They want to see their aunts, their grandchildren. They want to see human beings. So if we don't promote human beings or personal interaction, that's is our problem, right? We're messing up our own world. We cannot. Yeah, so what I'm saying is that there should be a balance as to how we use technology, but we need it. Because now your ESA with great skills, we know more than we used to because of social media, because of technology, because of development of, it's our development. So manage your space and manage your children. Or yourself as well. There was this music, Amapiano. There is a research that says that it takes away your concentration, your memory. If they listen to it, children listen to it from morning to evening, to the end of the day. And do you think they will stay motivated and remember things in the long run? And I've seen it happening. I do know children that cannot concentrate. Personally. Some of them, because they're always here, they sit here close to the board. In my family, because that's how the parents raise them. to always play on their cell phones, and they cannot see. The other one came to my house, a glass door. He went straight into the glass door. Didn't see that it was a glass, it was glass, because he cannot see anymore. 14-year-old. So, any other question?
Yes. You talked about you need to be able to create stories or be able to invent or starting telling our story from scratch. Like I take that example too because when I was still growing up, I used to tell lies about creating my own story. We were calling it novels. But you know, when we were sitting as gents, while I was back there in the world, smoking, stuff. Yeah, all those stuff. So I was the one who was talking too much. So I was telling novels and creating my own story. But that I took it from my grandmother because she used to tell us a story. So I think if we invest that time telling our children stories, they will be able to create their own story and they will grow up maybe being writers because they have that opportunity.
Yes, because they saw it happening.
Yes.
Why children are not telling stories? Because they don't see it happening. If they see it on their social media, they think it is those people. But if they see you, they know their aunt, they know their friend, they know their mother, they will know that they too can do it.
I just wanted to add a story to that one.
Yes.
You know the great actor John Carney. So Peter Brook was interviewing John Carney and asking him how John Carney became an actor and director. And Carney must have had a family with many grandmothers. And he said that as a child, each night he would go to one grandmother's house and she'd tell him a story, go to another grandmother's house and tell him a story. This would carry on. And then he went to one grandmother's house and she said, "No, you tell the story." And that was the beginning of John Carney. Yes, the grandmother.
And some people ask, where do we learn to tell a story? Okay, first of all, I don't know if there are colleges or schools that teach storytelling, except for NGOs.
and not
But the three ways of telling a story, of learning to tell stories, is either by, of course, if you've studied drama here at Wits, but another way is what we call modeling. So in that way, you follow a storyteller, you learn from someone that you know. You copy either the style, but as you continue, as you progress with your storytelling journey, you get to adopt your own style. That's how it happens. When I started telling a story, since I learned it from Uqina, I used to move around the stage because that's how I learned. Uqina is like, I'm quieter than her. But for many years, I was her. I was imitating her fully until I found my own space. I found my own self identity as a storyteller. How do I want to tell stories? Because there's no one way. It's nice when I still do it when I tell for children, because you need to always keep them alive to keep their concentration and move and jump and grab and all those, and then they get entertained and they tend to listen for long. Otherwise, if there's nowhere to go, you can follow one storyteller and see how she or he does it. You continue.
On that note, what's the difference between storytelling for kids and storytelling for adults?
You know, sometimes adults, they need, that's what I'm saying. When I tell for children, it's individual, it's personal. How you tell it to Gina tells the same way, maybe a little bit more when she's telling for younger audience. But when I tell for adults, I don't move, and it depends also on the story. You know, animal stories, they have a lot of actions anyway. There are a lot of actions. But if I tell a history story about King Dinizulu, that King Dinizulu, you don't know that not only Robben Island was there for our political business. There was also an island. If you go down there, past Cape Town, go into the sea, into the area that we don't know, you find an island. It's called St. Helena. And you don't know that some of the kings of our African kings, of South African kings, especially the Zulu kings, were together with other Boers, were arrested in Northern Ireland, in St. Helena. And when you get to St. Helena, you find this house, and you got to know that, even Napoleon died in that place. It is said that even today you find Princess King Dinizulu. I'm cutting the story. But you can tell history story. But history doesn't have drama. Unless if you want to imitate, like, King Dinizulu, when he got to St. Helena, he had 10 of his wives there. As a king, he was respected, but he was taught something. He started learning how to play piano. Can we all play piano? How, with the sound of piano? I've never. Sound of piano. The sound of piano. The actual piano. Any song to be piano. Another one. Another sound of the piano. Let's sing the sound of the piano. And then again. And the sound. So he learned to play. There's something else that he learned. He learned to speak English. Can you believe it? When he came back after 10 years, he could speak English. He can say what in English? What do you say? What is English? Anyway, what do you think he said? The first word he said.
I think it's maybe do, re, mi.
No. So he was teaching his community do, re, mi, fa. Was he teaching in English or in Isizu? No, but then he wanted to show off his skill. He wanted to teach in English. What did he say? Hello. He said hello instead of Sanbonan.
Oh.
What else did he say?
How do you do?
How do you do? Well, it is said that he started again. And that's when they don't know where did it go wrong. The apartheid government is still wondering where did it go wrong. We thought we're done with this person. We thought we made him our own. He was wearing a suit, mind, no longer a beige, a cowskin, a trouser or whatever, skirt. He was wearing a suit and he was working like a gentleman. But suddenly he starts again, and that is why he was caught and he was killed. It is said that he died in the area now called Wandebe. But that's history. You can tell history stories for adults. When you tell for children, you tell animal stories because they identify with animals, they identify with people, human beings, brothers, fathers, immediate family members. I guess I have exhausted my time. So let's end the session with the story, with the song that we sang in the beginning. Who can remember the song? Who can remember the song? Ngimamele, ngimamele, ngimamele ma du 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 du. Ngimamele, ngimamele, ngimamele ma du du du. Oh, tulang, 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 ngimamele ma du du du. Oh, tulang, 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 ngimamele ma du du. Okay, let's take it a little bit up. Ngimamele, ngimamele, ngimamele ma du du du. Mele, ngimamele, ngimamele ma. Oh, tulang, 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 ngimamele ma. Oh, tulang, 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 ngimamele ma. Oh, maybe it's better if it's lower. Oh. Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute. Ngimamele, ngimamele, ngimamele ma du du. Ngimamele, ngimamele, ngimamele ma du du. Oh, tulang, 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 ngimamele ma du du. Oh, tulang, 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 ngimamele ma du du. Ngimamele, ngimamele, ngimamele ma. Ngimamele, ngimamele, ngimamele ma. Oh, tulang, 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 ngimamele ma.